Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast. And today we ask the question, is gaming dead or are you just getting old?
Yo, what's good, people? Welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast with all your friendly neighborhood black nerds, where we cover all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture stuff. Absolutely zero of the BS. Back with a new episode every Monday morning. I am your host, Sage Ashford. These are my co-hosts, Rakeem Beck, Devin Butts, Terrence Flowers, Will Coleman. Like Rakeem said, this week we're getting into a discussion on whether or not gaming is dead or are you just getting old. I do want people to think about that just a little bit. What inspired me to talk about this, as usual, I was on Twitter way too fucking much, and as y'all know, it's the ongoing war, if you're a gamer, between the quad stack people and everybody else. You know, the people that they live off of 2K, they live off FIFA, COD, GTA. They don't know nothing else. They might know a little Fortnite, they might know a little Roblox, Minecraft. That's pretty much gonna be it for them. And so somebody was passing around, and you get this pretty much every year. Someone passing around like a little post showing all the highly rated games they released this year so far. You know, your Blueprints, your Silk Songs, your Expedition 33, your Doom. What's the new Doom?
Dark Ages.
Dark Ages.
Doom, Dark Ages, all that. And for some reason, the post skipped Trails in the Sky. I'm going to say that too, because Trails in the Sky really was one of them ones this year. It's been another fantastic year for gaming, as y'all know. But then someone said something that triggered me, that made me laugh and triggered Terrence. They was like, you legit probably have more fun on COD or FIFA. You can't just say gaming is back just because they reskinned the game you liked when you were a kid. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I'm like, in a year where you got Expedition 33, a year where you got Sword of the Sea, Hades 2, Split Fiction, just to name a few, that does sound ridiculous. But then I looked at that list again and I said, man, it really is a lot of sequels and remakes on it. So I do want to ask y'all, is it that bad? And do we have the same variety in gaming or more variety in gaming now, or do we have more back in the day? Rakeem, what do you think?
Yeah, addressing this question, I've been playing a large variety of games lately on my PlayStation, on my Steam Deck. And I've got to say that I am coming to the issue of there are too many games. So for me personally, I don't think it's an issue of variety and not just reskins, because there's a lot of new games that are coming out. Even if you're just playing, like I play a lot of indie games and indie RPG games, and there's a lot of variety of that right now specifically because, as Sage told me many years ago, we're in an era where people are promoting as much content as possible. We're in an era where like content is king, so more games of all genres trying to reach as many people as you can. So we've seen genres come back, like strategy games have come back. There's way more RPGs out there. You're seeing genres that were dormant kind of coming back and bringing more games. Old horror games are bringing back new series. You just got 3 different Silent Hill games like the last 2 years for the most part. So I don't think it's an issue of variety. I think there's actually as much variety as possible now. Like, I do not have enough time to play all the games I want to play. I want to play Trails in the Sky, first chapter, just like Sage said. I can't right now. I'm still playing Borderlands 4. I want to play Ghost of Yote that's coming out. That's a new game that's coming out. In just this month alone, there's probably like 8 games that I personally really would enjoy playing. And I don't have the time and money to play all of them. So I don't believe it's a variety issue. But what I do think is there's kind of a jadedness towards gaming by the consumers. And a part of that is on the industry and, like, you know, the gaming companies. Like, we're seeing what's going on with Xbox with the rising costs of their consoles and their games and Game Pass. And that has really pissed a lot of people off, especially like the diehard Xbox guys who grew up on Xbox as their main console. They feel totally betrayed. Like, their consoles more expensive, the games went up, and they putting the games on PlayStation. You've lost basically all the appeal you had by all these decisions towards your consumers. We already know about things going on with like how Ubisoft handle their business. The Blizzard fiasco a few years ago. I think that's just distrust in a lot of gamers. So they're sticking to like shorter series or really specific games because they don't really believe in these companies anymore. That's a big part of it. As far as like the 2K and the multiplayer gamers who play certain things on their own, a lot of those people, they just grew up and just thought that was what gaming was. That's all people around them played. Like we came from a generation, we were lucky that online gaming wasn't at the level it is now where it's dominated the industry. We played locally, and so there was just more variety of games we just tried. And we had game renting services. We have Game Pass stuff now, but we went to the store and just picked games off the shelf and just like, hey, I'll try this. Let's see what happens. I remember growing up, my cousins would let me play all types of games. They played Madden, but they also played Final Fantasy and fighting games and Twisted Metal and racing games. So I got a good variety of games in my backlog. If a kid grew up in an online generation, all their friends just play Fortnite all day, every day, they might just keep doing that because that's what they think gaming is. They care more about the connection to their friends than the games themselves. And wherever their friends are, that's where they're going to go. I play a lot of multiplayer games too. I have a group of friends that we literally look for games to play as a group like every few months, and we'll pick one. Like we played that new what's that? Not Space Marine game, the one that came out last year, and we got together and played that. Warhammer. We played that. We're playing Borderlands 4 now. I haven't had a lot of time to play with them, but that's an example. I think when people think about gaming, their mindsets are different. They think about gaming as the social aspect of gaming. And then people who play like single player games or more variety of games, they think about gaming in the concept of the game itself as the art form. Like, what can we get out of the game? Other people are trying to get the experience they have and the fun they have with their friends or their opponents. Some people like competitive gaming. It's a variety of reasons for that. But I just don't think personally it cannot just be games are all worse and we're only playing old games. That's not true. That's too many. There's too many. Like, you can literally go down a list of games this year that came out, and you'll probably see, if you're like a variety game, you don't just play 2K and Fortnite and this or whatever, you'll see like, I can't even buy all these games this year. Like, I don't have the time and money. Even if I was in college again and I had, I don't know, maybe I was a rich kid and I had my college paid for, I couldn't even play all those games. I just don't, you wouldn't have time. It's impossible. So in that regard, I think it's just a difference of mindset. That's the issue. I just think younger people have more of a connection to the social aspects of having fun with their friends. And as they grow older, those friends, they get married. Those friends, they move away. Kids. I can say personally for me, it became harder for me to play fighting games when I graduated because we had this big community in college. And then when I was by myself in grad school, I lived by myself. I had no connections in my grad school area. I moved. I got MKX. I got nobody to play MKX with but myself and online. It's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. So that's a part of it too. I just think the social aspects of gaming, people construe that to like what they want out of gaming. And we think of gaming more so from the art form of the games themselves and what they bring to the table. And I think that's where a disconnect happens, to me personally.
I like that answer. What's going on, Terrence?
I was just gonna say, I like that answer too. Just real quick, I like how you put that. It feels like it's very easy to get like wrapped in your own bubble of gaming or any just medium, like just any entertainment medium, to be honest, because you have it now where it's very easy to get trapped in like your own bubble musically. Because for us growing up, we listened to a lot of what our parents listened to, so we were exposed to older music. And it's not to say that newer generations now aren't exposed to older music. They very much are, because TikTok will bring certain old songs back and it'll become a trend that way. But it is very easy now to get locked into a bubble of just what you and your friends like and not like exploring in a sense. So yeah, I do agree with the answer you gave.
Yeah, I think sometimes for me too, it's because I have a friend group that likes to play multiplayer games like the most, but I am a single player gamer personally. I will literally have months where I'm like, I'm not playing with y'all this month. I got this game coming out and I want to play it. And I'll get back with y'all when I'm done with it. I will do that. Like, I need that separation. I can't just go on I will literally burn out if I just play multiplayer games all year. I can play them for maybe 2-3 months. Sage notice, you'll see me playing multiplayer game for 2-3 months. I'm like, all right, where the single player? I need some personal time. But yeah, I totally agree with that too, Terrence.
Okay.
Terrence, you up.
So I will say with this, I feel like the obvious answer is yes. Like there's definitely more variety now than what we had in the past, but I do think there's nuance to this question that isn't as black and white as it might appear. The way that I look at it is I feel like the landscape of indie, AA, and even AAA has evolved from what it was like in the 90s, 2000s. Well, I'll say the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, that it's just evolved over the decades in comparison to where it is now. Like just first off, looking at the AAA space, back in the 2000s, like the PS2 360 era, budgets weren't quite as much of a concern. Like, don't get me wrong, budgets were a concern. Like, you couldn't just like spend it all on a game and, just hope for the best. But the budget for a game back then isn't what it is now. Like now, budgets for like AAA games are on the level of Hollywood movies, even like more expensive.
The margin of error.
Yeah. Yeah, which I'll get to that when you talk about the margin error. And so as a result, back then it feels like creative freedom and failure were more allowed in the AAA space. Like you could make a game and if it failed, it could still get a sequel. And that sequel could improve on the failures of the first game and it just get better over time. Like honestly, you know what? One that comes to my mind is Uncharted. A lot of people say the first Uncharted game, it was good, but it wasn't like a game changer or anything like that. It had a good foundation, but just on its own, it was a good game. And that was it. When you move on to 2, it's like 2 changed the game. Like that game came out and everybody was talking about how it was such a vast improvement over 1. And I think now in the AAA space, you don't quite have that. You don't have the ability to fail on the first AAA game and somehow make another one unless your publisher just really likes your game. Just like, you know what, you had something good going on here, kid. We'll give you another shot. That just doesn't really happen now. Yeah. So the creative freedom and failure aspects of gaming back then, it does feel like it was more allowed in the AAA space. From even like the AA space, it feels like you got so much more AA back then, and that kind of filled the gaps of variety that we had back during like the PS2 era, even like the 90s. It's kind of hard to, at least when I think about it, it's kind of hard to think about gaming in terms of like AA, AAA back in the 90s. I mean, I know that they had budgets then, but
it just wasn't done the same way back then.
Yeah, it just wasn't done the same way. It's like, I don't think I would say Mario was AAA and like Toe Jam and Earl wasn't. I don't know. Like the comparison just it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there.
It's just not the same. But and
you see it more with the PS1 and then from that point on.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the indie space, while it did exist in previous decades, it's opened up so much more in the 2010s and the 2020s because we have it where somebody in their basement can make a game. Like you could do that before, but now the way that you have, like, let's look at the success story of Undertale, like how that was made by a very small team, pretty much one guy, and it just became such a huge success. Something like what's another game that was made essentially by like one person? There's one that I'm trying to think of, but it's just not coming to mind.
Stardew Valley.
You know what? Yeah, that's another good example. Stardew Valley. Like we have so many games now that fall in the indie space that are made by such small teams or even just one person, and that has opened up a lot more variety in terms of you don't have to rely on like a huge publisher or have like a huge budget for a game to be a success. You know, there's the joke with RDC about what Stickman, how those games should come out.
I think about Stickman a lot. Like there'd be like Baby Steps felt like another Stickman type ass game where it's just like all of a sudden I was hearing a bunch of people talk about Baby Steps, and I'm like, man, there are a lot of much better produced and looking games that are just getting overlooked so people can play this fucking meme of a game. Hell, even Keem, you might have to help me with this. What's that game that just came out and it's like Vampire Survivors, like a Vampire Survivors knockoff?
Megabonk.
And I've been seeing people go like, oh, this game's better than y'all brace yourselves. This game's better than Silk Song, and I'm like,
You know them just jokes at that
I'm
point.
like, I don't know
Them
about
just
all of
jokes.
that.
And people really like, because what it does is it copies Vampire Survivors and Risk of Rain. And if you know,
Yeah.
those are like, both of those are giants of the roguelike genre. Giants.
Right.
So it does kind of fuses them together. It gives you the Vampire Survivors gameplay loop in the Risk of Rain, like 3D environments and like big, and that combo is like peanut butter and jelly. That's why that game's doing so well.
Yep.
You know what? Speaking of like the roguelike genre, and before I say this, I will just say it's not that certain genres didn't exist before now, but certain genres have just exploded and we've gotten so much
They
variety.
get way more play now.
Yeah, we've gotten so much variety out of that. Like roguelite, I mean, that wasn't a term that was really just tossed around like that in the 90s or 2000s. It's like once you get to like the latter 2010s and now, that's where you start to hear more and more of it. It's to the point where it's mainstream. And so I think that that's the biggest difference in terms of variety, is how the landscape of gaming has changed over the decades. Because budgets weren't as much of a concern in the 90s and in the 2000s, you did have like more creative freedom and failure was more allowed. But obviously games looked the way they did back then because we didn't have the power that we have now. Now that we have more power, like graphically and, you know, in terms of frame rates and everything, there's just so much more variety now. And also like you have the accessibility of who gets to develop games. You don't have to rely on big publishers or have to work for like these big companies to make a game. Somebody can just make a game in the comfort of their own room and release it, and it'll work because you can just put stuff out on PC, on Steam, and you know, people find it and it can take off. So I think there's just nuance to this. Like if you just look at how gaming was in certain decades comparison now, it's just not like a black and white, like, you know, there was so much more variety back then just because I remember it more fondly then. It's like, no, you have to look at this through like a historical context. And like, I would still say that, yes, we have much more variety now, but there is just a difference in the decades that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, a part of that also is part of your point was that the barrier of entry for putting out games is kind of lowered with independent gaming.
Much smaller
and that's,
now.
It's a much smaller
because
entry.
of that, it's like the boom that happened. We're kind of seeing the indie boom, just like the indie music boom in like 2010.
Yeah.
Like around the same time.
Right.
But yeah, I would say I agree with you on that one. There is more variety for me. It's so crazy. Like I can't, as a person who likes to play a lot of different genres, I feel like I'm finally being punished for it. Because it's too much.
Oh my God. If that ain't the truth, bro.
Will, you're up, man.
Okay, so we do have a lot of variety as of right now. I think we have it much more than we did back then. And just to kind of fall off on Terrence, it's definitely a thing with the decades and how I feel like sometimes there's certain decades where certain like genres did have their place. Where, you know, we could look back at like the 80s and 90s. We did have platformers in the 80s, but when the 90s kind of came, we did have the mascot platformers with, you know, Sonic, Arrow to Arrow, Bad Bubsy, so on and so forth. We had a lot of things there. 2000 kind of put us in with more, you know, bigger budgets, RPGs here and there, action titles, so on and so forth. I won't delve too deep into it, but I think as of right now, with the variety we do have, I can say this, just like Keem just said, liking so much, you're kind of getting punished for playing so much and liking so much, but that's the problem, I think, that also kind of sits here too. We kind of have a bit of choice paralysis, if you will. I think that's the problem with at least people like me and Keem and others. We have so much that we want to play that we can't sit and play at all. So we kind of get stuck trying to be like, okay, I want to play this, but shit, I'm still playing this. But I kind of want to get this when it comes out in the next 2 weeks.
So I'm having that problem right now.
Yeah. So you're just kind of looking at your games like, and then you stop and you go back to what you know. And it kind of gets you to sit back and be like, shit, I could be playing something new, but here I am loading up this game for the 287th time this year. So it kind of happens that way. I'm guilty of it myself as someone who loves RPGs. I am a single player person as well. I love my JRPGs, whether they're tactical, action, traditional turn-based, ATB, whatever you call them. I like them because that's something I love and I grew up with. But I also like my online multiplayer games as well, such as my Overwatch, my Marvel Rivals, my Dead by Daylights, and everything like that. I like those games, but every time I look at one of my RPGs and I know I got something to play, I mess around and turn on Dead by Daylight. I'm trying to get chased by Michael Myers. So it's kind of crazy how to look at it. But in other cases with people who love their like other games, I think that's the other thing too, because I've told this story before on the podcast. When I worked at GameStop, I had a guy come in and he was looking for something else to play. He didn't know what to play, and I started throwing suggestions. He wasn't sure. But I told him, hey, you'll never know what you'll play until you at least give it a try. I said, you can't sit up here and play these games and then be mad about what you don't have to play. I told him that. I was like, you got a lot in front of you to play, but you're constantly going back to these same ones. And he was like, you know what, you're right. Maybe I should try something new. But then I had another guy come in behind him, and he heard the conversation. He like, look, I'm a 2-game-a-year kind of guy. Give me Madden, give me 2K, and I'm straight. I go to work every day. When I come home, I'm throwing that ball down the field. I'm at the 3-point line. That's what he told me. And I was just like, you know what? I can't be mad at you. I respect it. At least you honest. I ain't going to sit up here and trash you for what you just said. Like, you know what you want. You come in, you get it. You go home, you play it. Have your fun. But we got a lot of variety, man. It's so much to pick from. Like, I just truly think that you shouldn't limit yourself. But at the same time, we got so much, it's easy to limit yourself. It's easy to look at a library full of books and tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to read at least 10 of these a day, but you still got 2 at home that you hadn't finished, and you're going to go back to them and try to
that's a real issue.
That's a real good point, yeah.
So, yeah, I truly think we have a lot, but it's a lot that's holding us back from playing those games, too.
Devin, let's go, man.
Let's go.
So I'm just gonna be upfront. Like, if you think there's no variety, like if you utter the words, there's no variety, there's nothing to play nowadays. Just take your consoles, take them to GameStop, let them give you a smooth $2.50 for them, and just stop. Because there's more variety than there's ever been. People that I'm gonna be honest, and you can prove me wrong. The only people that say that is just what Will said. People that play Madden 2K. Man, ain't nothing to play, man. Ain't no variety or COD. Someone in that variety of quad stack games.
The ball and gun.
Some people think that gaming is dead and GTA 6 is gonna revive gaming. What? What are we talking about, bro?
Maybe from a business standpoint.
I just don't think that's true. Period. Like, if people just sit and wait for Grand Theft Auto, bro, just stop playing. Take your consoles out. Just stop playing, bro. There's so many other games out here. We've had variety all throughout the history of gaming, and now more than ever. There's genres that we had in the past few decades that didn't even exist back in the day. You had like multiplayer stuff, battle royales didn't exist, extraction shooters, asymmetrical, roguelikes. All you can get a game as a roguelike, Souls-like, turn-based RPG fighting game with driving mechanics. Or you can get a driving game that has
that's a real game.
You can get a driving game that has card game elements, dice mechanics, Souls-like, roguelike, and then it's a fighting game when you it's like, bro, it's so much stuff.
You can get a mech game where in your spare time you can do farming shit.
You get a horror game that's also a cozy game that's a monster catcher, and then it's a city builder. Like,
we did.
It's literally like I made a list of games while I'm sitting there thinking, like, bro, some of these games like Viewbox. That game, like, I've never seen a game like Viewbox before. Viewbox, Sword of the Sea, Blueprints, Unbeatable, Hi-Fi Rush. It's a freaking action game that's similar to like the 2000 era, like Devil May Cry and stuff, but it's got like Guitar Hero elements embedded into the DNA of the game. Hellsinger, another game. It's a countable boomer shooter, but it's got Guitar Hero rhythm elements in the game. Sea of Stars, you got God of Rock, a fighting game that's basically Guitar Hero melded with a fighting game. Hollow Knight, another hark back into Metroidvania games, but it's got its own twist to it. It's got some sprinkles of some Souls in there. Kind of similar game like Salt and Sanctuary. I know King likes Salt and Sanctuary. It's like a Metroidvania style game, but it's like a Souls like game.
Sequel was better, but yeah, I do like the first game.
Balatro. You got simulator games, hero shooters, Returnal, which is like a AAA bullet hell roguelike game. Pacific Drive, again, when you're literally driving in the end of the world to try to survive, upgrade your car. Crow Country, most most horror games back in the day were just like the similar style to Clock Tower, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, kind of isometric, top down, fixed camera angles. Now you got horror games. It's like top down little twin shooters, side scrollers, all kind of stuff. Yakuza it's got multiple types of games. RPGs, beat 'em ups, like it's got other games inside the game.
It's
Like,
does
what
have
we-
multiple games inside
Hey
the
man,
game.
Devin's spitting right now.
Man, I'm just so tired of this rhetoric, and we hear this. It's like we hear it every year, and every year gaming is like the biggest, the best it's ever. The Xbox, everybody making all the money and laying off everybody somehow. So I don't know how we making record profits and making all the games, all the money. It's the biggest media industry, but somehow gaming is dead, bro. If y'all can't tell, this topic, I'm very passionate about it, but it upsets me when people that don't play a litany of games or multitude of games, but then they want to say, "Oh, there's no variety." You hear it all over social media. People making videos about, man, ain't nothing to play, bro. Like, how, bro? My backlog is struggling, bro. Bro, I got games I ain't beat from last. I ain't beat Black Myth Wukong yet. I ain't beat Metaphor yet. You know why? Because I went back and beat Hollow Knight, the first one. Now I'm playing Silk Song. I still got to play Expedition 33. I still got to play the DLC to Lies of P. I still got to play the DLC to Sea of Stars, Chain Echo. Like, bro, it's too much to play. As my compatriots have already mentioned, it's too much to play. Hell is Us just came out.
That's just true.
That's a legit problem. But it's not that's the lack of variety. Hell is Us just dropped. It's a unique game. It don't hold you. We don't have many games like that. It doesn't hold your hand. But it's like an action game with just a dabble like Souls in there. But Cocoon, like, I just don't get it. It's one thing if you just say, "Hey, I'm just gonna play the games I like, and I'm not gonna worry about the risk." That's cool, but don't say ain't nothing to play. Even like, you know what? And this actually kind of go back to what I said about this usually only people to play like shooting games and ball games. Yeah, there's only one football game, so yeah, I guess ain't no variety for them people. It's only one basketball game, so in that regard, I guess there is no variety. But you still gonna buy it anyway, so just be quiet and play it. I mean,
dribble, huh?
And even, you know what's funny, even if there was some variety, no style of games, people, they wouldn't play it. I love NBA Street, and this is coming from somebody. I played all types of games. I'm a gamer. I play all types of games. I have had logged thousands of hours in COD. I played my fair share of Madden, hundreds of hours in Madden. I played 2K a lot, but I also prefer the games like NBA Street, NFL Street, more creative outlets for those types of genres. Those games don't exist anymore. You know why? Because y'all just want to play the simulation games. If they were to make a new NBA Street, as much as I would love it, it probably wouldn't do that well.
Bit of both, bit of two things in that case, because like it's also the NBA and NFL have turned into these weird, like, hey, the highest bidder gets access to it, and if you don't outbid the other person, then that's it, and this will be the official NBA, the official NFL game. And
WWE the same way.
Yep, that's kind of screwing us out of the variety.
And that's like a side kind of related to this, but that's actually a topic in itself of like the real problems that people talking about. Gaming is dead. No, gaming is not dead. There are some practices and stuff that are going on that are causing gaming to have this stench about it. A lot of stuff is happening right now with all these price hikes. Xbox, that's another topic in itself. Those types of things are, in my opinion, I don't necessarily say they're killing gaming, but it's definitely putting a taint on gaming, right? But when we're just talking about the pure amount of games out, buddy, if you ain't got nothing to play, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Go read a book. and as the songwriter said, read a book. Yeah. Because if you don't have a good game to play, just stop, bro. My backlog is cooked, bro.
It is.
I still have games back on PS4 that I like that I hadn't beat. It's just if you really about playing games,
it's hard out here, bro.
It's so much stuff to play, bro. Like, come on, like I still got to play Chronos New Dawn. It's still games coming out. I want to play Ghost of Yote. It just dropped. Ninja Gaiden 4 is on the way. And people say every year, oh, ain't no variety. Gaming dead. And every year we got some of the craziest games come out. Every year, packed full of games, but ain't nothing to play. Ain't no variety. I'm gonna stop talking because I could go on for another hour. I'm just gonna be quiet. But if there's nothing for you in gaming now, just stop. Just put the controller down and go outside because ain't nothing else for you. If there's nothing, you can't find nothing. There's no variety. Nothing. Just stop. Get some help.
Help.
I'll agree with you on that, Devin. But at the same time, like I just told in my story earlier, which did happen, if you just go ahead and be honest with yourself and say this really all I play, say that,
Well,
keep moving on, and
yeah,
let
I can respect that.
let your opinion stay where it's at.
That's what I said earlier. Like if that's all you play, I don't have no problem with that. But that's all you play. You say there's like in a whole the whole nucleus of gaming. You say there's no variety, and you only like if you were to only play shooting games, sports games, that's literally like such a minute portion of the genre of games we have. It's not even like it's so many game genres. You're not even scratching the surface. So that's nowhere near the totality of what's out there to play. So you don't even really have a like an educated opinion to say that. If you played everything, okay, well, if you play everything, you say nothing. Okay, I guess. If you only play one or two genres and you say there's nothing, like I just can't. I just don't understand that.
Facts.
Okay. All right. I came up with this question because I think some people might argue with you about it, might argue with us about it, but at the same time I think the question is stupid, right? Like I was like when I came up with it, I'm like, man, this is such a dumbass question. Like, of course, there's more variety now than it was back in the day. Like, what are people talking about? But then, right before we did this podcast, like a day or two before, because I set up everything, probably like Tuesday. And then I think like Wednesday or Thursday, IGN put out this article and it was talking about how every PlayStation game is just the same thing. Narrative-based game.
Sure did.
Third person, cycle of violence, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's true. And like I saw somebody just recently try to like refer to that and point out like, oh, that's why gaming is all identical. And I'm like, well, even that kind of speaks to how little if you use that as evidence as to why gaming is bad, all you telling me is like all you know are that's like the AAA games that Sony makes, and you ain't heard of nothing else. And so like when you say that, I'm like, okay, well, what about something like Peak, where all you doing is climbing a mountain? Like that's the whole game. The game is just like climbing a mountain. Just like that's
yeah.
The Altars, a game where you trapped on an alien world and it's just you and clones of you that all live different lives, that their lives work differently than yours, and they got all their own unique personality quirks as a result of all the things that have happened in their life versus your life, and y'all all working together to try to get off that planet so that y'all could be safe. Like there ain't no game like that. Like that's such a unique idea that I'm like, man, where the fuck else you gonna get that? And I mean, you got the meme drug simulator type shit. That shit came out with Schedule 1.
Schedule 1, I remember that.
Schedule 1 was a huge deal earlier in the year where you just out there selling, selling that work.
Fast food simulator. And here's the thing I want to come to and I want to talk about.
When people look at gaming and say gaming is dead, and then they start talking about, oh, look at all these games, they're all repetitive, they're all variations on one another, blah, blah, blah. You are holding gaming to a standard that you do not hold any other medium to. Nobody says this shit about movies, right?
TV movies. Oh yeah, a lot.
Nobody says that. Oh, every movie is the same. Like nobody says that. Occasionally you might get some people that complain about, oh man, all the indie movies are all the same. You might hear that every now and again, but like by and large, you don't hear everybody's like that's not a criticism that you hear all the time for films, but it is something that you hear quite frequently for gaming for some reason. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like there's so many different genres that are out there for you. And yes, you might get a whole bunch of fantasy RPGs, and even the fantasy RPGs, they don't look the same no more. Like the Western RPGs, maybe a little bit, but like the JRPGs, they don't look the same. Like Trails don't look nothing like no Final Fantasy. Like, what are you talking about?
Not at all.
What's up?
Just to interject real quick, like, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about, how gaming was different in like past decades. Something that I think people misremember is a lot of stuff copied each other back then too. I mean,
hell yeah,
stuff like platformers copied Sonic, Mario, Zelda. Like there were so many clones of different games back then. Even during like the PS2 era, you got so many like platformers that were copies of each other and games. Like there was a point where a lot of RPGs were just trying to copy Final Fantasy X. There was a point where a lot of 3D platformers, they were trying to copy Mario 64, et cetera, et cetera. There was a period where a lot of first-person shooters, They were just copying Wolfenstein or Doom. So this is nothing new.
You had all the
God of War was
GTA
copied a lot.
knockoffs.
Yeah.
You know, I now I will say this. You look at a lot of these gotcha games, these like Korean, Japanese RPGs that are coming out, and they are ripoffs of Genshin Impact. And I was like, why does that bother me? Even though ripoffs back in the day, and I think it's the visuals. Because like back in the day, they would go out of their way to try to make the game look different artistically, even if you were like, yeah, this definitely is just a Mario clone. You know, this definitely just a Sonic clone. Like the main characters will look. But now, like you get these worlds, and it's like, all right, man, you doing too much to like copy the identical look and feel of Genshin to try like what's the Dungeon Fighters? Dungeon Fighters got they got their own gotcha game coming out soon, and it looks just like Genshin. And I'm like, but you already had an established style. Like, there's no reason for your games to look like this. Why does this game look the way that it looks instead of like your own existing style? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like what's that game that was copying Horizon? Like pretty much it just looked like it was Tencent's version of Horizon.
Light of Gotiron.
Yeah, it's like in that case, that's literally just them taking that homework and straight up copying it. Like
they added
that's not inspiration,
like,
that's just copying.
I'm like, all right, man, you're doing too much. And Pal World is the same way. The only reason I kind of give Pal World a pass is like, even though it does like it's very clearly ripping off Pokemon, I give it a pass because one, on its best day, Pokemon has never looked as good as Pal World does.
Very
like, graphically,
which is kind of sad actually. That it's been.
It's very sad. It's knowing how much money Pokemon makes. That's very sad. And there's always like some Pokemon fans that want to explain like, oh no, they have to make a game every year. Like, so one, no, you don't actually. You don't have to make a game every year. Because you're going to sell all of it when a Pokemon game comes out anyway. And two, y'all make all of it. So you got the money to just build another team. And then that team can work on like a yearly Pokemon game. And then y'all separate team can take 3-4 years and develop like a gorgeous looking Pokemon game that's like a mainline title. Y'all choosing not to do that. So like, I don't feel no type of way. I don't feel sorry for y'all at all. But like, graphically, Pal World looks prettier than Pokemon. I'm not gonna speak on art design, obviously, since it's a ripoff. But graphically, like fidelity wise, it looks way better than Pokemon ever has. And then also, like, it's letting you do things that Pokemon don't really let you do. Like, you gonna take a gat and shoot Pokemon and all that type of shit. Like,
that'd be wild.
Okay, you got your own. They gonna help you build a house. You can use them as like, I don't necessarily like the slavery aspect, but you can use them as like little employees and whatnot and help you build a little community. Like, I kind of dig that. You got whole now I will say they had like a raid boss. I think Pokemon did that with Scarlet and Violet, so I'm not gonna give them that. But there's a lot they're doing that Pokemon doesn't do. So I'm like, too bad. Like, I mean, if y'all get y'all lawsuit off, cool. That's one of those where I actually don't have a side. Like, I think I think Pokemon, I think Nintendo's trying to get like a lawsuit off against them. And I'm like, if y'all win, I don't care. If y'all lose, I don't care. Like, whatever. So, but like in general, I think it's weird to even approach the question. Like, yeah, of course there are certain dominant genres that happens every generation, no matter what. Like in the SNES days, the dominant genre was like platformers. In the PS3 era, the dominant genre was like first-person shooters, like grounded military sim first-person shooters, or just not even necessarily military sim, but just like gritty first-person shooters. So like even something like Gears of War or something, that still counts because it's still like gritty first-person shooter. Like that was the dominant genre in that era. Now you got multiple dominant genres, really, like the gacha RPGs, and you got Metroidvanias and all that shit. But there's always some dominant genre, but that hasn't stopped this generation from having so many other types of games that Devin mentioned and all of y'all mentioned. And so it's crazy to even approach the idea of like, oh yeah, you've got all these reskins and sequels. And that's another thing. I'm tired of people complaining about sequels. Like, are you just supposed to release a game, release a sequel, and maybe a sequel, and then just let it die? Like, I'm sick of that. Like, some games are franchises, some games are one shots. I'm fine with either one. But I just don't like the idea that true.
True. You right about that.
Like, I don't get like I know a lot of people after Sony came out with like last gen and they had all these like new IPs as they were trying to like evolve with the times and evolve with their fan base. They had all these new IPs, and then PS5 started, and then people were like, where are all the original IPs? Why are they making all these sequels? I'm like, it's the second game in these series for most of these. Like, it's Horizon 2, it's Death Stranding 2. Like, y'all act like they on like the 5th game or something. Like, it's the second game in the series. Cut them a break, bro.
It's got to be like, I would say, newer gamers. Like,
nah, these the gamers that just they always complaining about, oh man, y'all not doing enough original ideas. And I'm like, yeah, you can make that, you can levy that complaint at some studios, but like, you got to know, you can't just use that. It's that when all you have is a hammer, everything look like a nail. Like, you can't just use that against everybody and everything. Like, sometimes it's like, hey man, this is our second game in this series. Yeah, we're gonna make a sequel. We're probably gonna make a trilogy, and then we might move on to something else. And I think that's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
to
just
be
it
fair,
takes so long. Yeah.
yeah. To be fair, like a lot of the studios that are making the IPs now, Ghost, Horizon, God of War, whatever, they had previously worked on other series that had 3-4 games, and these were their new IPs. So this makes sense they're getting their sequels now. It just happens that they made a lot of those IPs around the same time, so the sequels came out around the same time as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think it is an interesting like talk about that topic, Sage. A part of me, the thought came to my mind when I was thinking about this is like, I think one thing what I see this is, 'cause I keep seeing this topic come up a lot from like casual gamers, is like it feels like we're slowly getting casual gamer fatigue in the genres they're in. Where it's like this is the first signs of like the more casual gamers are kind of falling out of love with gaming because of the practices of the companies and the price hikes and stuff's going on with the consoles. It's just not as attractive anymore, getting older in general. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of the gamers we're talking about, the arguments will fall flat on their ears because they're not fans of gaming. They're fans of particular games, and that's it. I remember I saw a topic the other week. It didn't have to do with the casuals, but it was about Trails came out. And there was somebody complaining like, they looked at the Trails numbers and it was like, Persona fans, when any other RPG but Persona comes out in silence. And the person came out and said, this is a weird complaint because a lot of Persona fans, they only like Persona. They don't like JRPGs.
Yeah.
They don't like the genre. They like the game. And that kind of reminds me of what's happening. Like these people they just like 2K. They don't like gaming. 2K is the only thing they'll play. That's it.
It's funny you say that about the Persona fans. I do feel like even in every genre there is, because AAA doesn't always mean, like, AAA initially was supposed to be a marketing term, and it was like the games that got the most marketing, the biggest marketing budgets. And so like there's a AAA to every genre. And so like there's like Hades 2 would be like the AAA version of a Metroidvania. And then like Persona and Final Fantasy are like the AAA of JRPGs. And so it's interesting to me because I've seen people that all they play is like the biggest name JRPGs, and then everything else is just like, that's cute. And I have no really interest in this. I'm just gonna wait for Persona or whatever. There's people I follow, like people that are streamers that I follow, where I'm like, yeah, all y'all care about is like the AAA version of this genre. Like y'all don't actually fuck with JRPGs. Like I can tell because I know what y'all talk about. I listen to what y'all talk about, and so I do think that's a weird spot to be in. But I mean, it's definitely like when you say like people only care about certain things, they're not fans of the genre. They're fans of this one thing. You're definitely correct. And that takes me to this next question, our last question. Is AAA gaming dead? Like, is that the problem? Is that the issue that it's not that gaming is dead, but AAA gaming is dead? Because it's starting to feel like that is what people complain about, that they're not seeing the AAA titles, particularly the Western AAA titles that they want to see. Okay. Terrence, what do you think, man?
This is kind of like the last question where there's a simple answer to it, but there's obviously nuance to it. It's like, are AAA games dead? No. I mean, obviously not. They're making so much money, and all it takes is one game to be an absolute hit and you're set. I mean, look at Fortnite. Like Epic, they're going to live off the backs of Fortnite for years to come, or at least until the trend is no longer that anymore, and who knows when that's going to happen.
Right.
The thing is with AAA is, I think the way that is being done, or the pursuit of AAA gaming, is changing. Like, obviously, budgets are such a huge problem now. The fact that games cost so much to make, you can't take as many risks because you want it to succeed. If it fails, well, that's it for that series pretty much. Yeah. So a lot of stuff now, it is a bit more formulaic. It's a bit more safe. You know, everybody wants to be the next Fortnite, Genshin, GTA, etc. Now we're starting to see more on the free-to-play route, like the gacha route, where if you don't charge for your game, well, you're going to make your money back in other ways that sucks money away from the gamers. So I don't think AAA is dead. It's just that the landscape of it has very much changed from what it used to be. And like Sage said, it was very much where AAA was just a marketing term, just to let you know, like, hey, we really went all out on this game. Like, the marketing, like, it was everywhere. You saw it everywhere. Like, graphics are going to be top notch. Gameplay is going to be super smooth. Like, that is pretty much what AAA for the most part meant. And now we've just gotten to the point where people just see games as, like, if it costs, like, if this game looks almost like too real, yeah, that's AAA.
That's AAA.
Yeah,
Like, it's become so much focus on graphics over everything else. I think what's going to happen is, as we're starting to see, as we've seen this year, like, AA is becoming a lot more important, just because since the AAA games are more expensive to make and are going to cost more, like, consumer wise, there's also that there's space now for where games that cost like $30 to $50, that space needs to be filled. And it seems like there are developers out there that are realizing, like, oh, we may not be able to make a AAA game, but if we make a AA game that's maybe like a fraction of the budget of a AAA one, we can still make a lot of profit and make a good game at the same time. I mean, looking at Expedition 33, you know, that is one of the big stories of this year. Hades 2 is AAA, but it's still in that indie space, so I kind of count it to an extent. And I mean, there's so many other examples of games that aren't like spend it all on it and just hope for the best kind of thing.
Yeah, come on for 99.
Yeah, so I think with AAA gaming, you know, it's not dead, and I'm very curious to hear you all's answers, but I just think that there's a lot more factors that come into play now, you know, just the price of games going up, the budgets that are going into them, you know, all the money that's spent on just marketing the game, and the fact that if that game isn't a success, you will more than likely never see that series again. And that's sad. I will say that is the biggest difference from how gaming was a couple of decades ago to now is, like I said, back then there was some margin of error, or you could fail to an extent and learn lessons from what you made and make it better the next time. Now you can't do that. And you know, another aspect of this is, if we look at like the gaming crash of, was that the 70s or was it technically the 80s? It was the 80s, right?
It's the 80s.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If we look at the gaming crash of the 80s, that crashed because of lack of quality control. Like, there were so many games being put out that just were not good that the consumer got turned off just because it's like, I'm not going to buy. It's funny. It was kind of like the AI slop equivalent of then, like them just pushing garbage out just to try and make a quick buck. And I think we're in like the opposite space of that now, where it's not a lack of quality, but it's that there's such a focus on profit that the space for creative freedom and failure is just not allowed. And so, I think what we're experiencing is the opposite of then. Like, obviously there is no gaming crash, at least not yet, hopefully, but we're just kind of seeing the flip side of that coin, at least in my opinion. I think that's how it's going right now.
Okay.
Will, what's up?
Okay, so I don't truly think that AAA gaming is dead. If I had to give a word for it, I think it's at a point of, it's kind of stuck in a way. And I think it's really with some of the factors that Terrence mentioned, such as the budgeting, some of the marketing, and having to get these games out, including development time as well.
Yeah.
Because it takes so long to put those games out. It takes upwards of 5, maybe 6, sometimes 7, or in some cases for some games, they've been at it for a decade, trying to get a game out, trying to put everything together, have the ideas come together, get the team together, and some external factors as well, such as, economy, people getting laid off, things of that sort there. You're losing people off of teams. So some parts of the game, you got to go and bring in somebody new to fill in a spot. And the other things I want to talk about with those AAA games, especially Western AAA games, that sometimes when we had these games come out, we find a reason to have to put a celebrity somewhere in it. So a recognizable face is attached to a game. So they'd be like, okay, this person is in this game. That's cool. Let me go get this game. And not to throw, I'm not throwing any shade at it, but Cyberpunk, Keanu Reeves, there, he's in this. And I'm pretty sure you don't have to pay him unless the stories of Keanu really being a really good dude, just being like, nah, I'll just do it. But yeah, it's a lot of factors that play into Western AAA games, and them. Like I said, they're here. You can play them. They're going to be amazing and everything under the sun. But I think we're at this point now with them being such AAA blockbuster movie hits and them lining up practically next to movies. You're basically buying like a one-time movie experience. And as much as I hate to say it, you're practically pulling up to a gaming store to buy a Blu-ray for $70, put it in, play it for X amount of time, and then by the time you're done with it, you go run it back again, but you're getting the same thing, unless there is some level of a DLC being added to the game. And just like Terrence said, if the game don't succeed, you are looking at that series being gone. And you're also possibly looking at that dev team being gone because y'all didn't do a good enough job, or it didn't hit well with reviewers or even consumers. So I don't think AAA is dead. It's just at a point where the money is really messing with it the most. It's the money, it's the exposure, it's trying to get people to see your games. It's trying to get people to come out and buy those games. Yes, you do have a crowd for that. You will sell millions. But with how much you're spending to make those millions back, you either break even or you're in the red or you barely make it into the green. It's one way or the other with those games.
That is something I thought about. It was brought up, I think, in that Insomniac ransomware leak, where they talked about how the budget for Spider-Man 2 was like 3 times the budget of Spider-Man 1. And it's like, man, that's right. The money is getting crazy. And it's like the amount that you need to break even and then make a profit is getting so much higher. So, I mean, it does feel like AAA gaming is in a bad spot. Like nobody, I've been saying this lately, and I don't know if anybody caught on, where I'm like, nobody wants to publish video games anymore. And what I mean by that is these games take so long to make and cost so much that if anything goes wrong, that a lot of times they just wind up getting canceled. And I cannot recall a generation before this one where we've heard so many major projects publicly canceled. Like that Wonder Woman game, they got that up out of here. That Black Panther game, they got that up out of here. There was this game, Project Baxter. It was being made. It was like a co-op D&D game from the people that do Payday. They was like, cancel that bitch. That was supposed to come out next year. Dang. It was supposed to be announced and come out in 2026. And they was like, never mind. I'm like, bro, 2026 is 2 months off. What do you mean you never mind? Like, never mind. Fuck that game. We gonna focus on Payday. It's like, man, Payday 3 didn't even sell like that. We gonna focus on Payday 2.
Payday 3 was bad, bro.
Focus on Payday 2.
I guess they just gonna focus on Payday 2. I don't know that they said they was gonna focus on Payday. So I'm like, what is going on around here? Like, y'all don't want to make video games. Like, and people talk about what Ubisoft problem is. I said, Ubisoft problem is they don't publish no fucking video games no more. They want to publish Assassin's Creed, and they want to like offer improvements to games that already exist, like Rainbow Six Siege, For Honor, Skull and Bones, which is still around. Like, I know people thought Skull and Bones would be dead. They still
that surprised the hell out of me.
It's still around right now for $3.
$3.
Go get it. You know, they done added the ground combat that everybody was complaining about. Like, hey man, y'all need to add some ground stuff. And they was like, all right, we did it. that shit, if they keep adding on to that game, it's gonna turn into No Man's Sky Pirate Edition. If they just keep sticking to it, because if they just keep adding content to it. And I'm like, cool, but like, what about? And then they did the same thing with Avatar. I'm like, cool, go make some. Like, what happened to Watch Dogs? Come to that. What happened to that Prince of Persia game y'all was working on? Like, what happened to Beyond Good and Evil 2?
I was just getting ready to say that. Where is that game?
Man,
y'all used to release a Far Cry every other year. When was the last Far Cry?
A Far Cry ago.
You know, I will say in Ubisoft's defense, they at least released that Prince of Persia game, and it was a good game, but it did sell quite, at least to my understanding, it didn't do as well as you would think it would have, unfortunately.
That's why they always
won all the awards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got hella DLC.
But you were talking about the Sands of Time remake, right? So you talking about that
That's
one,
what
right?
I was talking about.
That's what where's that at?
Yeah. They're supposedly, they just started reworking on that one because like that initial reception was just not good at all.
Yeah.
I believe I heard they gave it to another studio.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
Probably
that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, just like nobody wants to put out any fucking video games. I'm like, hey man, win or lose, like you got to start publishing games. Like, you're not gonna know if you got a hit on your hands or not until you put out some fucking video games. Y'all keep being like, if y'all keep looking for these get rich quick schemes, the gotcha mechanics and the microtransactions and the DLC, and we're gonna raise the base price and we're gonna have a season pass. And it's like, hey man, all that's cool, but it's not gonna work unless y'all start putting out some fucking video games instead of putting out 2 or 3 games max a year. If that, sometimes they put out one, like these AAA studios want to put out 1 game, maybe 2 games, and then they vanish. And it's like, man, y'all barely feel like publishers anymore. Y'all just oversized developers. That's what y'all are now.
That's the difference between now and like the 2000s or even the 90s, where your EA and your Ubisofts, they were publishing everything. There was so much like licensed stuff that Ubisoft was publishing back then, and they just don't do that now because licensing, the way licensing works is so different.
It costs so much more to license games now. Like it feels like it's not worth it, and I understand that. But like y'all still are one of the biggest publishers around. Y'all have so many different studios and thousands of developers working for you. Publish some fucking video games. It's gonna be okay. Like, I know Division 3, y'all got Division 3 on the way, but like I looked at what Ubisoft had coming up, and I just seen a long list of Assassin's Creed games. I'm like, no, get out there and take some risks. Like, y'all can't. That's another game to cancel. Immortals Phoenix Rising 2. I'm like, people actually like that first game. Y'all could have put out the second game, and maybe y'all could have had a hit. Y'all, more than anyone, should know the value in publishing a game, a follow-up to a game that people was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but I need a little more from you. More than anybody, Assassin's Creed was the most 7 out of 10 ass game ever made.
Yeah, the first one.
You're right. You are right. That actually, you know what? That's a better example than even Uncharted. Because I remember that first Assassin's Creed coming out, and people was like, this is like a 7 at best. But then 2 came out, changed the game.
2 came out.
So they should know more than anybody else. Like, hey man, if we put out a sequel that builds on all the things that worked, and you shave off some of the things that didn't work, and you wind up with like a 9 out of 10, something that people remember as a classic. Like, they should know more than anybody about that. Now with Watch Dogs, I kind of give it to them, even though Watch Dogs 2 kind of went down that same path of people being like, wait a minute now, y'all got something here, and then y'all made Watch Dogs 3 and went away from all the things that people liked about Watch Dogs 2. I don't know why they did that. I think that was a matter of like Watch Dogs 3 was in development at the time that Watch Dogs 2 was coming out. And so like that was probably the problem there. But like still, you got to stop giving up on y'all's games before you actually put them out. And maybe we won't have these problems. And I also feel like AAA gaming is in a weird spot because it's never good enough for people now. Like no matter how good a game looks, people are like, oh man, I can't believe this is the best it looks. Like, look how much more expensive the PS5 is. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, you finna get diminishing returns, bro. Yeah, that's where we at.
There is a case of that came out, I believe, this week where people were talking. They were comparing Ghost of Tsushima versus Ghost of Yotei, and they showed how in Yotei you could cut the blades of grass, whereas you couldn't do that in Tsushima. And it's like we're really at the point where that minuscule of a detail is important to some people that developers have to waste their time and money making that a thing in a game. It's like, who cares if you can cut a blade of grass?
We had that the same way with the sequel to Horizon. They were upset about a climbing animation. They like, why doesn't she have a new climbing animation here? I'm like, I know damn well y'all.
Why would I come up with a brand new one? Like, what would be the point?
Yeah,
like y'all can't be serious.
We reached peak climbing.
I remember the same thing with Spider-Man. When the first Spider-Man came out, there were some super nerds complaining about the puddles in the game and the reflections in the puddles and how well the water. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And it was another game that people and I knew it was all downhill when people started talking about the horse nut shrinking in Red Dead. I said, okay, man. Like and then like, if you look at that character, he's slicing into the steak and then the steak actually disappears. Bro, what are you playing video games for?
I'm telling you,
you're not playing video games to look at an NPC eat no fucking steak. You playing video games because I guess he was. So I mean, like you running into a lot of problems because people are demanding more and more from these AAA games, and it's not possible. Like we've hit a point where you probably need to stagnate for about a decade at the graphical fidelity that we have, and then just let the tech get better. And then maybe you can start to work on shit later. Like I know that sounds crazy, and I know no developer wants to do that. They always want to push the limit of the limit. But like when it take 9 years to come out with a video game, like man, it's ridiculous. Like I feel like that poor. I seen the Skyrim grandma retire recently because she was like 90, and she was retiring for other reasons. She wasn't retiring specifically for that. But I do think it's insane, and she got into Skyrim long time ago, and there's still no Scroll 6. Like, what do you mean? Like, y'all could.
That's insane.
That game should have been out. And I remember telling our friend Tim, because Tim was a big Skyrim fan, and he was like, "Man, when Elder Scrolls 6 coming out?" And I had like heard about what the schedule was for Bethesda. I told him, I said, "Man, probably 2026." And he was like, "Man, it ain't no." And I was telling him that in like 2016. I said, "Probably 2026." He said, "Man, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way." And Elder Scrolls 6 is not coming out next year. That's not coming out. That might come out 2027, 2028. That's what you're looking at. That's the world that we live in because y'all ask so much and the developers want to push the limits and fans want the limits so much. And it's like, you got to let that shit go.
You know,
so AAA games are not dead, but there are efforts being made on all sides to kill it, to be honest with you.
It's like back then during the PS2 era, how we always made the jokes about like, we're going to have kids before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. Little did we know that just became the trend for gaming in general.
All games. Yep.
Man, did it.
That's all games.
Rakeem, what's up, man?
Yeah, grandkids by time 4 come out.
I know, right?
Man. So yeah, addressing this question, I'm telling you, AAA gaming has a black eye, is bleeding out, it's got into a kerfuffle, fell down the stairs. It's in debt. There's a lot of problems. I mean, first of all, we've addressed this on the podcast before. We talked about all the massive layoffs in the industry that seem to happen every year now. Like it's like an annual occurrence. And that's you can't. And Sage talked about it specifically. I'll never forget. He talked about how when you have that many people leaving the industry, you don't have. Then a lot of them aren't going to come back. So that amount of talent leaving the industry at one time, it sucks. And anybody who's a fan of any company or specific games or like the teams around them, seeing the leadership go, the talent go over time. If they come back to those IPs, either they might get rid of some IPs, but they come back to those IPs, they're not going to feel the same because it's going to have different writing, different direction, everything. So even if you like an IP, it could be very different. I'm a Dragon Age fan. Damn near every Dragon Age game had completely different direction. Like if you actually play the whole series, none of those games really feel similar. They almost feel like different genres at some points when you play them, especially between Inquisition and the most recent game because of the time period. So that's a symptom of like just teams changing, direction changing, bad management. There's a lot of bad management at the top too. If you're a Destiny fan, you know I'm telling the truth. Destiny went through so much bad management, a lot of bad stuff on the books. The company being in disarray, and then like the investment Sony put into them not getting that return and the payments of that over time. The AAA industry to me is dying from the business side because we've reached a point where we hit the bubble and the things that they were getting away with 10 years ago, they can't get away with no more. The pushing of giant teams and super expansiveness into the games, more money, more time, better fidelity, it all kind of crashed at the same time. This almost reminds me of like the .com bubble. Or like other major like issue, the real estate bubble right before the recession in 2008. This reminds me of that in gaming to a degree, where you see all the issues that were happening in the background come to fruition, and we're seeing it play out. Like now we're seeing all these companies get acquired, and now Microsoft, they acquired all these companies, and now they're cutting back because they realize they can't afford what they're going on. What was that company that bought up all those studios a few years ago? I can never remember the name.
THQ Nordic.
THQ Nordic. Oh, that's what they changed the name to.
Embracer Group, my bad.
Embracer Group,
yeah.
yes. Embracer Group bought up we talked about this years ago. They bought up all these studios. They bought up studios of the most specific games they ain't been out in 30 years, 20 years, not used IPs. And I was like, how is this going to work? And the answer was, it ain't.
Yeah.
It ain't going to work.
They embrace too much.
I feel like a lot of like investors and companies that got into gaming didn't really understand it. They understood that there was money to be made because the genre as a whole started making more money than any other media. So like all they saw was the dollar sign, but they didn't understand the process behind it, the amount of time invested, the level of talent you have to have, the needs of what gamers have. Gamers changing over time to what they like and the trends that change over time. There definitely was something at the top that was misunderstood, and it caused the bottom to fall out over time. So that's where AAA gaming to me is dying. It's dying from the standpoint of there was a fundamental misunderstanding of what the amount of money to be made, and the bubble starting to pop. And heck, even most recently, we just saw EA got sold.
Like, 55 billion, wasn't it?
That's a big freaking deal.
Yeah.
Going private, going from public back to private, that's pretty crazy.
That's crazy, bro. Like I saw that, and I was like, man, when you do something like that, what's gonna happen to like some of the IPs they own? I like Mass Effect. Heck, Dragon Age basically got put on the back burner after Veilguard. Now I'm scared of Mass Effect might not even come out. That's a legit concern now.
And they are scared as well.
Yeah.
Like some of the people at BioWare have been like, we don't know. We don't know if we're gonna be here.
Yeah.
And they just we'll keep working as long as the checks keep coming in, but we got no clue.
That's crazy, bro. Like you can't sustain a business on potential, and then like you can't sustain a business on potential, and then you can't sustain a business that seems to be like everywhere you turn, someone's losing money, someone's cutting back. Microsoft is completely they damn near gave up. It felt like almost on gaming a little bit. If they could get out within the next 15 years, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Man,
that I don't mean to scare nobody, but the way they acted, like they might get 15 years from now, might not be no Xbox.
Yeah, almost definitely.
Shoot, next generation probably ain't gonna be no Xbox.
I was gonna say at this point that's coming real soon. But remember, everything's Xbox.
Oh yeah,
that was part of the sign. Yeah. That's one of the signs. Like, all right, y'all not gonna be around.
Everything's an Xbox.
Yeah,
this is an Xbox.
Even your microwave is an Xbox. Your air fryer is an Xbox.
But yeah, so just to conclude though, in general, to me, AAA is dying from the business side because there was a fundamental misunderstanding at a certain level of like this is not an item to make unlimited money. I think big, huge games like GTA 5, Fortnite really set expectations too high for some people, maybe investors, maybe company leaders, people who saw the dollar signs, and they just assumed that you could replicate what they were doing within other companies, and they didn't realize that was just lightning in a bottle. You can't replicate those things the same way. A lot of those things also come from, like with GTA, over time is building a customer base that really, really fuck with your product over the course of 10, 20 years, and then reaching your biggest potential game of a series that was already beloved. That's how you make success like that. But yeah, to me, AAA has died from the business sense too, that the consumers are very, very like out of it when it comes to these companies. They've lost faith in the companies. They don't think they really see the companies as all they care about is my dollar. They don't care about the quality of the product because I keep getting games that are glitchy. I keep getting games that are unfinished. I keep getting games that they increase the price on them. So to me, I'm seeing as a consumer, you don't really care about me. You only care about my dollar, and the quality product can be whatever. I mean, if I got a burger from Burger King, they had no meat in it, and they say, "Oh, don't worry, come back and put the meat in there," I would never go back to Burger King ever again. You know what I'm saying? Gaming is really exclusive in that genre.
They're gonna give you a refurbished piece of meat too.
Refurbished
the
meat.
Fresh piece.
You got. I wanted 5 pickles. You get 1 a day. I'll come back and get 3 pickles. Nah, they don't work.
It's like your daily challenge. The day you get 1 pickle, the next day you get the second pickle.
So to me, like I see the bleeding out of like from the business standpoint of gaming, and like this is not sustainable at all. And ultimately, if things don't change or they get worse, Microsoft's response was horrible to me. I don't know why they did that.
Man,
if you do stuff like that and make it worse, the bottom will fall out even faster. So I think there's a danger of an even bigger like withdrawal from gaming if they're not careful.
I think honestly, Rakeem, I think you
nailed it.
You nailed it in terms of like the way I was looking at it in terms of like the opposite of like the 80s crash. Like, yeah, that is, if there is a crash that's happening now, that would be it, is that the bottom is falling out just from like too much money being thrown at everything. And yeah, the pursuit of money is going to be the end of AAA gaming, I think. Yeah.
I mean, you see, they wasted all that time chasing NFTs and shit.
Oh my God.
That didn't go nowhere. They threw money away
that
on
went
that.
nowhere fast.
I never forgive them for it, because why was you doing that?
They reached the
Get
climax.
your ass down.
Yo, Devin, bring us on, man.
All right, so Keem, you just actually brought up a lot of good stuff that I was gonna come from, and actually Sage made a good point too about, because I've been thinking about this too, because I've looked at games over the years and I'm like, I don't think there's a clear cut AAA and double. I think there's a lot more nuances. I even started calling certain games like double A and a half, and we got like this like quad A stuff now. I'm just like, I personally think if we're going to use this metric, just keep it at AAA. We don't have to raise the bar or quintuple A, or deca A. Like, just keep it AAA, because we're getting too much. We've had games in the past, like you can look at visuals. A game can have AAA visuals. Callisto Protocol had I would say quad A triple visuals, but the game sucked. So it doesn't matter if your game looks like it's the best looking game in a decade. If it sucks, it doesn't matter. So that was supposed to be a AAA game, but it sucked. But it had visual. The production was AAA, no doubt. Suicide Squad was supposed to be a AAA game, but the game sucked. On pretty much the visuals were decent, but it sucked. It was a bad game. Redfall was supposed to be another AAA game. It also sucked. So you look at something like Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight it would be considered technically double A because it's an indie game, but it's a AAA game on all fronts: sound design, production.
It's an indie AAA game, if nothing else.
Exactly. So that's why I say,
hand drawn animation, like that takes some time.
Yes. So when you mention that, that's a good point, because like, yes, most people will look at something like Hollow Knight. They're gonna put it a tier below something like Grand Theft Auto. Undoubtedly, most gamers are. But if you look at, or just let's say something that's not out yet, something like I don't know, Spider-Man. Most gamers are gonna put that below Spider-Man because they don't think, well, it's hand drawn. Remember, I think I've had this story on this podcast before. I was when I was in college. I was playing with some friends, and y'all know I'm in the fighting games. I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 over, and one of them said this game has the visuals of a 64 game, and I was like,
what Nintendo 64?
What 64 game?
What? So there are a large portion of people that think because a game does not have what we just talked about, the Callisto Protocol visuals, that it's not up to par. But I'm like, there is a difference between fidelity of the graphics and the art direction. Those are two totally different things, and some people actually do not know the difference between that. So that there's a lot of nuance to that. I know you mentioned something about recognizable faces. Will.
Yeah.
I know Kojima's kind of doing that now. But I think he's leaning toward like a different route, because I feel like Norman Reedus was like, he really sold that role, like he really was invested in that role. So it's like you get a person that's a recognizable face, but not just because they're that, but this person is invested in this role.
Yeah.
And I think even his new game, supposed to become out, Fizzing or whatever, supposed to be coming out.
Fizzing,
I think people are saying he might have Robert Patrick potentially as like the facial for the face for the protagonist. Don't know. But that'd be cool. But I think he's like done a lot of good roles. Like he's most known for the T-1000 and Terminator.
Yeah.
I think he could play a good role. As long as you're not doing it just for the sake of, I got Drake as the main character. I got Ariana Grande. Like just having them, that don't mean nothing. What are they gonna do for the performance? Is their performance gonna lend anything to this and make it quality?
Yeah, at the end of the day, acting is acting. You got to bring the acting to it, and if you're just there just to cash a check or just to like cash on that person's appearance, and like you said, that's not the way to go.
It's not gonna work.
Those some hilarious examples, by the way, Devin. They both used to be actors.
Yeah. even like Borderlands 4. Like Borderlands 4 is a AAA game, but it's got issues right now. It's got a lot of issues. It has a CEO that's like tone deaf, and I'll get to that in a second. Get to that in a second. Street Fighter 6 AAA fighting game, as opposed to something like KI, which is more like AA and a half, I would say. MK1 is saying a AAA fighting game, but that game sucked compared to the other Mortal Kombat games, right? But it's technically a AAA fighting game. Punch Planet is an indie AA fighting game, but I've had way more fun than I ever did with MK1 with that game. And this is an indie game, right? So y'all brought up a lot of good points about just like the nuances of what make a AAA game. I personally don't think AAA is dead, but I'm gonna go from Rakeen's route. The practices of what they're doing is a problem. So I made a list of things. I think things are too corporate now. The suits, the people that got the money, investors, they have their hands too much in what's going on. And I get it. You're providing the funds, but y'all don't know nothing about video games. That's the problem. There's too many people coming in here that don't actually have not been in a culture. They probably weren't even gamers that's trying to come in here and make decisions for people that are gamers, and you don't know anything about gaming. Just because you gave me $100 million don't mean you know what you're doing. Like money don't mean you have education on a certain topic. You just got the money, right? Things are too expensive. We talked about Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man was like 90-something million, and the second was like 315. But it's kind of weird to me. I'm like, well, what did y'all do? Now, I will say this. I know we mentioned about people saying, oh, they make the same games all the time. They reuse assets. I'm just like, how would you have that much more money? That game, it was a solid game, but it wasn't that different from the first game, right? There are reports that Ghost of Yote was like 60 million on that. And I'm like,
I don't believe that number, but it's probably not that high either. So
I just heard that they said that it was like maybe 10 million more to make than Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know, but if that's true, that will raise an eyebrow that Ghost of Yote could be produced for 60 million, but the first Spider-Man game would be 90 million, and the second be 300 million. That's a big discrepancy in that gap.
The Marvel licensing fees is a motherfucker.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. Maybe some of that is licensing.
Is true.
But that's like what? But still, though, the first one was 90. Like, what else would y'all have to? I guess extra characters, maybe. I don't know, but it's still a lot of money. Piecemeal. They piecemeal stuff to you. Hey man, I'm gonna give you this, and if you pay another $40, I'm gonna give you just a little bit more or something. It's like, bro, I've always said, make a good game first, and then people will just follow. Like, don't give me, we got kind of finished with it, but I'm gonna give you this battle pass stuff has become a trend. We got battle passes in games that don't even need battle passes. Street Fighter 6 got a battle pass. It's worthless. It's a piece of trash. I don't even know anybody who would waste some money on it. Right? When you putting stuff in the game like the Ninja Turtles, which I feel like they would be a good set of guest characters for Street Fighter 6, but it's like, no, we're just gonna put costumes not for characters you play, but for battle hub characters. Yeah, 16 a pop. So you what? Why would I pay that? Yeah, 16 a pop. So stuff like that, like who? But I guess there are whales out there that's gonna pay it. So it's like, hey, we're gonna make our money somehow. That's tied to the monetization. The studio closings, all these. Like I said in the last question, apparently we making more money than ever in gaming, but people keep getting laid off. People keep treating like trash into some of these studios. Microsoft, apparently Sarah Bond, this is what she said, like when they asked her about Game Pass, it's profitable. Well, why are you making the price double now for game? You done raised the price of the Xbox twice. Once we'll let slide for tariffs, I guess, but the second time is raise the eyebrow, and then you raise Game Pass. What? Man. But you say you're making money. You said Game Pass is profitable.
They ain't all tears. I don't care what they say.
No,
I give them the first one. Assimilation, buying all these studios. We want to have all of it. We want to monopolize. Monopoly is usually like an enemy. If one person has control over everything, that's usually not a good thing. You bought all these studios. For what? Sometimes a lot of stuff. I know it takes time to make games, but something like where's the return on investment? You spending billions of dollars on studios, right? I don't know, man. I just don't know. And then you got these there's a tone deaf disconnect with some of the people. Randy Pitchford. Now we're gonna get to that. Also, the guy that was over Mind's Eye. Those two in particular. There's a tone deaf disconnect with these people that are at the top and the people that they're making these games for, the consumers that are making you all this money, right? For Borderlands 4 to come out and be as pitiful as it was performance-wise, and for that CEO to be like, well, I mean, you try to make a graphic. You didn't make the graphics, you used Unreal 5. You didn't make Unreal 5, right? So why you complaining about your game running bad? That would be the first. If I made a game and that was the first issue, people said, I gotta fix it. Okay, a game's running bad, let's fix it. I'm not gonna like make you, oh, you broke boys just saying gotta see, I got the 5,000 terabyte Intel processor i28. You just don't have that. You got the VTech 2000. That's why you can't run Borderlands 4.
The VTech.
Like, bro, the game has been running bad on console and PC. So what's your excuse now? I just don't. It's just like this tone deaf disconnect. It's like I get it. It takes a lot of money and effort to make these games, right? So you got to respect that. But at the same time, bro, like people have to buy the game for you to be successful, to make it all right. They have to buy the game. So you can't be talking to people like they're stupid and like you don't appreciate them buying your product. And sometimes I feel like AAA gamers created like elite snobby gamers. We talked about like the visuals and stuff like that for Dead. Some people, oh, I can't play a game if it doesn't look like the top of the line. If I gotta see the sweat coming. Like there are some gamers like that.
There was some game. It was some reviewer that was like, yeah, man, I hadn't even got to Ghost of Yota yet. I'm too busy playing Silk Song. And they was like, I'd be ashamed to be a game reviewer.
I know who you're talking about.
Playing some trash like this, some indie trash instead of playing a real game. I was like, boy.
Yeah. And see, that statement right there is crazy. What makes Yota more of a real game than Hollow Knight?
And both real games to me.
Ghost of Yota ain't crashed no 3 gaming services.
Facts.
I'm just saying, you know, and it just leads to me this whole thing about it's been going on for a while, but now it's like worse than ever. This whole like we've got 12 billion optical extraterrestrial triangles in this game for the graphics engine. We got 43 million teratons of pixels at 4,500 frames per second at 12K resolution. This game is gonna run like, bro, all this just a bunch of buzzwords and a bunch of meaningless talk sometimes. Bro, just make a good game, bro. Half the time, people don't even have like the screen sometimes to see the stuff at the best visuals anyway. And that'll be to some people complaining. Man, this game, I gotta get a game running. Bro, yo refresh rate is like 65, bro. You can't even run at 144. So what you can't even see the difference. Literally. You literally can't see the difference because your screen cannot process it. Just like the Black Okage, I always say people complain about, man, this guy I need 140. Bro, you got a screen refresh rate of 30. Shut up. Bro, I don't know, man. And I've said this before, man. I think that gaming has changed, and a lot of things we're talking about right now is exactly the reason why I feel like gaming has changed since I grew up going through gaming, going through the PS1 era, PS2 era. It's just so much more corporate, and I get it. When this much money is flowing through these people's hands, I guess it can't be like some grassroots type thing. But I just feel like the gamers, the people that love games and love making games, love making good creative games, they need to be the ones in charge. You look at people like the people that make Expedition 33. A lot of those were like ex-Ubisoft developers. And they was like, we were tired of making the same game. We were tired of just making like uncreative slop. So we decided to make our own game, and they have a potential game of the year right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I even like Mind's Eye, another quote unquote AAA game. Where's it at? Mind's Eye got D launch, right? I ain't seen it come back again. That's right, because the game sucked. And you got this guy talking about, man, those people were paid off for Rockstar to talk. No, you made a bad game. Your
that
game
was
garbage. Don't try to blame this on somebody to be like, well, these people were paid. No, you made a bad game. Just accept it. It's fine. Everybody makes something, it's fine. I don't know, man. I'm done, man. Because it's just... it's too much to talk about, but I don't think AAA is dead, but there are some practices that are definitely killing it. Definitely. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that just needs to stop. With WB, oh my gosh. Boy, you talk about a studio that just that's the epitome.
We don't even need to get into them because we'll be here all day.
That's why I just missed because I just we want to talk about AAA practices. MK1 is a loud fight game. That last game was hot garbage. They wanted to try to make I'm done.
WB, they are actually one of the studios that could have also took a lesson for what I was talking about. Like, hey man, if a game comes out and it's alright, maybe you like release a better version of it and see what happens. Because like I heard they was trying to release. I heard like the studio Warner Brothers Montreal was working on like an improved version of Gotham Knights. I'm like, hey, you might could have got something out of that. You put some more villains in. You add some more content, like people might have fucked with it a little more, and they were like, "Nah, just." And Warner Brothers proper was like, "Nope, go ahead and cancel that." It's like,
what do you mean? Work on make a new improved version, Slates? We didn't make $30 billion off the first game. Why would we do that?
But maybe you might make more money off the net. I don't know. These companies they do got to get on the ball, and I think it's too late for this generation. I think it's a lot of these problems are going to have to start. They're going to have to start fixing them now to prep for the next generation because that's only like 2 years off from now, 2-3 years off from now. So
that's true.
And hell, like there are some games right now that are in development that started development this year that you won't see until the middle of next generation. And that in itself is ridiculous.
Extreme.
All right, man, that's going to wrap this week up. If you're new to us and like this episode, I need you to do a few things for me. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to subscribe, tell your friends about us, and do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.